Good. You're fine. Well, that's the start of the recording. We'll edit that out. Good morning, everyone. For the record, it is September 23rd, 2021. We are really excited to have Tyson on. This is our regular business development advisor training, weekly training. And today is going to be a little bit different than a lot of the other times with, bringing on carriers and other services. Tyson runs a company called The Trained Advisor and has been in the industry for a long time, mainly focusing on advanced sales. His dad has been in the industry for a long time as well. So kind of a second generation thing. Tyson went a little bit different direction than his father did, though. But we're really excited to have him on. I've known Tyson now for vicariously through other people and acquaintances that have talked about the Trained Advisor and talked about Tyson and how phenomenal their programs are and what they do. And over the past little while, we've been talking then about what they actually do and how that can help some of the agents that we work with. And so I wanted to bring him on and have that conversation where we can all hear it about what they actually do and how they help agents and advisors and agencies get in front of more clients, basically. So you're already familiar with more some of the programs that are out there that we've talked about before. This is a little bit more in depth, and that's why I'm really excited to have Tyson share that, because as always, we're always trying to answer the question of why should agents have XYZ service, XYZ carrier within their agency practice, and how does that affect them? So again, take some notes. We're really looking for on the low end, 2 to 3 different value propositions of why we can offer what the Trained Advisor and Tyson's skills to the agents that we work with. And there's going to be a lot of occasion to be able to do that. But without any further ado, well, I'll take care of one housekeeping thing. As always, this is always a small group. This is for understanding, like Tyson's probably going to go through some information in the presentation a little bit, but please stop him if you have questions or you want to understand something in more detail, because that's really what this time is for. Like we're not on with a whole bunch of agents, and we have to be on point and make sure that we get the information across and not get interrupted too much. This is a time for us to be able to have a real conversation and ask questions. So if something comes up that Tyson's going over, just unmute yourself, say something, put it in the chat bar. Let's make sure that we get it addressed at that time and go from there. Without any further ado, though, Tyson, the floor is yours. You can share your screen. I will. I'm going to push this back a little bit so Jake can see as well, and then you can come over here. But go ahead, Tyson.
Perfect. Yeah, no, Nathan, I appreciate you having me on. So yeah, like Nathan was saying, if at any point you guys have questions, if anything doesn't make sense, you want to walk through things a little bit deeper, feel free to stop me and let me know. So what I'm going to do is I'll walk you through one of the normal presentations that we'll give to an advisor, adapted a little bit because I know you guys work with other advisors based on what Nathan was saying about being business development advisors. Some of you guys may be in the marketing space. So I'll walk you through a little bit about how we're different, what we do, and get into the weeds a little bit more so you understand the mechanics of not just what we do, but why we do it, the psychology behind it. So really what we focus on is LinkedIn marketing systems. And typically the advisor that we're working with is pro cash value life insurance. So they're going to like permanent policies. They'll use IUL, whole life, whatever it might be inside of their planning. So a lot of times it'll be a little bit more holistic of an advisor where they may be securities licensed where they can take on assets under management, but really it's somebody who's going to look at the whole planning picture, and they're going to figure out how permanent life insurance fits in specifically on the tax-free planning side. So with the system I'm going to show you, we used to call it the LERP attraction system, but what we realized through this process is that we're not just going after somebody who's interested in tax-free retirement planning. They're looking at the legacy planning side, business planning side. We've had, annuities, long-term care. So really it wraps everything into the whole picture. So That being said, some of the results that we've seen through this are what you're seeing on the left-hand side, where being on LinkedIn, we'll go out and connect with somebody's target market. On the left here, you've got one of our advisors named Carol, who's able to connect with somebody. The guy reached back out immediately. It was like, hey, I'm retiring in a couple months. I've got $400,000 of work to work with. I need help. We've got Kara on the right here. We launched her campaign. Within a couple months, she had about 100 leads come through. Based on what she was saying, most of them are very affluent clients. She's had a couple that were, they had a net worth of over $10 million. So really, we're looking at that quality coming through. We're not looking at the quantity picture. Everybody that we bring through the system, we want to make sure that they are interested in what the advisor has to offer, and they know exactly what they're going to be talking about with the advisor on that tax-free side. So just a couple of—
Hey, Tyson, just hold on 1 second. I was just going to interrupt because I know everyone's familiar with this other program. So, and we've mentioned it before, because everyone's familiar with Connected.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to put that out there right now. Like, this does not interfere with that side of it. In fact, this is actually we'll probably address that more specifically because everyone's familiar with that. Jason uses Connected, I use Connected, and what that looks like. So we'll have that conversation a little bit and how all that kind of integrates and works together, or how they're different.
Perfect.
But I just wanted to mention that up front so that everyone's looking at this in connected lenses, rather than what it is and what it's for and how this can help an agent and advisor get to that next step. So
yep.
Sorry to interrupt, Tyson, but I wanted to mention
you're good. Yeah, no worries. And that's where a little bit later in the presentation, I'll kind of show how a program like Connected can help complete the picture. It's a piece of the puzzle, but the system that we put together really adds on the second half of the equation, to where not only are we connecting with people, not just messaging, it adds a system into it so that you're building that lead generation system. So that being said, kind of to couple with what you were saying, Nathan, is that one of the things we try to help advisors realize is that you can't pay your bills with connections and conversations. So what we're looking at doing is building a 3-step system that's going to help attract, nurture, and convert prospects along the way. So a lot of times I'll get asked, okay, do I need to be good at digital marketing? Do I need to be, who do you work with inside of the digital marketing space? Really, we go across the spectrum. So you can be brand new to digital marketing. I've had clients that they're in their mid to late 70s who, they're just getting started in the digital world. I've had those that are in their 30s who are a little bit more familiar with the digital space. So really, we go across the board. So Nathan kind of gave a little bit of my background. But yeah, I grew up around financial planners. My grandpa was a CPA. My dad growing up was a tax planning attorney, estate planning attorney, financial planner. And then when I was in high school, he was the advanced planning consultant over the Western region for Penn Mutual. And so that's when I actually started working for him. Being in high school, it started out with filing paperwork, answering phone calls, but then morphed into me helping him design presentations to where, whether he's going to give a presentation to advisors or directly to clients. I started doing stuff with business planning, life insurance, tax-free retirement planning, dynasty trust, legacy planning. And that's really where my passion for the financial planning and the life insurance industry really came into play. And so coming out of college, I actually got hired by a life insurance company to be one of their regional case designers. And so, that's where my career kind of exploded and started going down that trajectory of being able to start working with advisors. So I jumped from that life insurance company over to a marketing company where I was hired to essentially oversee all of their accounts that had an insurance component to them. So life insurance, health insurance, disability. So I was running national marketing campaigns for some companies like Remax, Home Depot, PF Chang's, Kaplan. We had the NAACP. We had the Second Amendment Foundation. So we covered all ends of the political spectrum there, which was pretty fun. But then from there, I realized that I really liked the marketing. I really liked the life insurance side. And so I was like, okay, what do I do with this? So jumped back over to the independent space where I was working for a financial consulting company. And at that company, I was overseeing, I was wearing a lot of hats where it was, personal production, case design, marketing, operations. And really, if I didn't have a case to actively illustrate at the time, my second objective was to go get more cases to design. And so that's when I had to start developing more systems for myself, because I'd worked for that marketing company, but I had a lot of assets that I really took for granted at the time. I had an unlimited budget. I had a full-time sales team. I had a full-time graphic design team. So I could come up with a concept and I could spend, $10, $15, $20,000 testing it, which again, not money out of my pocket. So I was happy to go and start testing with other people's dollars. And so over at this consulting company, all of a sudden it was up to me to put together the systems, and it was my time, it was my dime. It was, if I was going to spend money, it was coming out of my pocket. And my wife, being pregnant with our second kid at the time, she wasn't too happy with me just spending money willy-nilly on, testing a campaign here, testing a campaign there. And so from there, figured out a couple things that worked, for our advisors specifically. And that's when I decided to start my digital marketing company, Trained Advisor. So with that background, I was able to see really an inside perspective of the life of a busy advisor, to where case design, closing cases, processing applications, all that front and center. So when they actually have a client, that's where their focus goes. But then marketing gets dropped off to the side. And what happens is they get on what I call the marketing roller coaster, where if they've got a dry pipeline, they start focusing on marketing, their pipeline fills up, all of a sudden they've got cases and clients, and marketing gets secondary, and their pipeline dries up. And then it's the cycle that keeps repeating itself. So one of the things that I hear all the time is, hey, I could talk a starving dog off a food truck, I just need more people to talk to. And so really, with the systems that we developed, that's what we solved with our intimate knowledge of what advisors go through on a daily basis. So before I jump into our system, I want to talk about my journey to LinkedIn to really help you understand why LinkedIn was the platform that we decided to, hitch our trailer to, right? So when I was with that consulting company, the advisors that I was working with had great products. We were doing high-end advanced planning, so legacy planning, estate planning, business planning. The average case size, I think, was about $65,000 to $100,000 in target premium is what they were typically writing. So they were really good at what they did. But the problem is that even if they had great websites and funnels, they just weren't getting any leads coming through. There was no traffic there. So that's when I realized, like, okay, you can have a great website, you can have a great product, but what does it matter if nobody sees it? So I started studying the current methods that were being used by the advisors. So they would call in and say, hey, Tyson, I've got this case, like I need, illustration X, Y, and Z. And so I started talk to the advisor saying, okay, why, how did you get this client? Why did they come to you? How did you land them? And so a lot of the times it was knocking doors, cold calling, asking for referrals. We had a couple guys that were trying to figure out the online ads, whether it's Facebook, Google, you name the platform. What I realized is that these were effective when they worked, but they were either time intensive, expensive, or required some sort of technical learning or experience that I didn't have the time or the money for. I already talked about the budget crunch that I was under with my wife. And on top of that, it's like, okay, I've got kids, I've got a family. I don't have time to go out and just start learning new platforms and trying to figure out where all the buttons are, especially on platforms like Facebook and Google, where the algorithms are changing on a daily basis. And so I started looking at how other industries were doing it. In the process, I learned a very crucial concept. It's go where your prospects are. And so I was asking myself, okay, what platform do professionals and business owners who have the money, resources, and need for my products and services use to hang out? And those are three key things: money, resources, and need, right? So you guys know the answer to this one. We're on this training. So it's LinkedIn, right? And there are a few things that played into why LinkedIn was such a powerful platform to be utilizing. So currently there's over 740 million members on LinkedIn worldwide, over 180 million in the United States alone. But 44% of those LinkedIn users make $75,000 or more per year. And we can increase the odds of those higher income earners by who we target, whether we're going after doctors, dentists, business owners. So we want to target people who are already concerned with taxes and tax planning, people that would be interested in those tax-free and tax advantage planning opportunities when we reach out to them. But there's another concept that goes in there as well that was crucial in this, and it's called pre-framing. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with what pre-framing is or how it works, but essentially it's getting your prospect into a state of mind where they're more likely to receive and accept the message that you are giving to them. So you can use this with sales, you can use it with marketing. But what I realized is that when somebody goes on to Facebook or they're going to Instagram, more often than not, they're going on there to check in with their friends, check in with their family. It's more of a passive hangout approach when they go onto those platforms versus LinkedIn. People are going onto LinkedIn for business purposes because it's a business platform, whether it's to learn how to further their career, how can they increase the success of their business. They're on there for business and financial concepts. So when I reach out to somebody with a financial planning opportunity or financial concept, people have already pre-framed themselves to receive that message. So it doesn't come across as abrasive. It doesn't come across as weird. They're already in that mentality and in that mental state to be able to receive that message. So how do we do it specifically? We have a 3-step system that attracts, nurtures, and converts people along the way. So step 1 with any client that we work with is profile optimization. So the profile, just by the nature of what LinkedIn is that people will typically look at it as a place to hire other people or to get hired. And so their profile looks like a resume. It just turns into a resume hoster. So the first thing we need to do is flip that over into a lead generating asset for your business. So you can start building relationships with prospects. You can host links to funnels and websites and lead magnets. And one of the things that I'll tell you guys specifically is that inside of that summary section, what we want to do is we want to start writing that in a narrative format so that when somebody reads it, they start building a relationship with you specifically. They see why you do what you do, what brought you into to where you are today in the financial services industry. So a couple of things that we've had, I mentioned the one on the right here with Carol. He connected with somebody, the prospect read his profile and he's like, hey, I've got this need. I need to reach out to Carol. He's the one to talk to. We've got Anna on the left here who reached out to one of our clients in Kara and just said, hey, I've got some questions regarding setting up a retirement plan for my husband and my friend who is a teacher. Are there other options for teachers? So that right there is without us, proactively sending out messages. That's simply from connecting with the right people and having that profile optimized. Another example is we have one of our advisors named Kevin who a lot of times will, well, one of the biggest hang-ups for advisors is they're saying, hey, what if another advisor sees my profile and they see what I'm doing? What if they see my messages? And I'll tell them that that's okay. And here's a prime example of that. So Kevin, was connecting with people, reaching out to him, and we'll do our best to filter out people that are in the financial services industry, but people will occasionally slip through. And in Kevin's case here, that worked to his advantage because he connected with another advisor who read Kevin's profile and was like, oh man, Kevin's the man when it comes to risk management and advanced life insurance planning. And so they ended up forming a partnership, and the advisor that reached out to Kevin was currently managing over $1.5 billion in assets and wanted to bring Kevin in as the advanced planner for his clients. So it's one of those things where if that profile is in place the right way, it will open doors and open opportunities. So from there, after we do the profile, we put into place what I call the CPM formula. So very simply, connections plus posting plus messaging equals LinkedIn success. Now, we talked about Copilot a little bit earlier. This is going to mirror a lot of what Copilot can do, especially on the connections and messaging side. And then after we go through the CPM formula, I'll talk about the second half of the equation. So I'm sure there are going to be some questions, so just hang on there for that second half. So first with connections, I'll just briefly go through this. You guys all know that marketing is a numbers game, right? You have to get in front of as many people as possible. And the reason for that is that you can be the sweetest peach in the orchard. You can have the best sales message in the world, but some people just don't like peaches. You can have everything down, your targeting down, your messaging is on point. Some people just based on where they are in life, they're not going to take advantage of it. So one of the barriers that'll come up, one of the objections is that, hey, the advisor may be thinking, I'm not looking for dentists or doctors or CEOs with my business. How can this work for me? How do I target those people? So one of the things that we'll do is that we'll help them realize is that your dream customer may not be that active on LinkedIn, but they are most likely there. And an example of that is one of our clients was targeting foreign nationals. So she was saying, hey, I need to, she was from Bulgaria originally. And so that's where her passion was, is on helping foreign nationals get life insurance. And she's like, hey, how do I target a foreign national? They're not going to have foreign national in their profile. What do I do there? So what we helped her realize was, one, is that those people are on LinkedIn based on the numbers that we talked about earlier, but we have to change around who we're targeting and how we're targeting them. So instead of her going directly after somebody who's a foreign national, she started targeting attorneys and those that deal with visas, foreign national attorneys, accountants, those that would be in that market, leveraging those relationships to target the market that she was after. So it's one of those things where you may have to get a little bit creative, but those clients, those prospects definitely are there. So the next couple of things with the posting and messaging, one of the things that I'll see with both posting and messaging is that people will oftentimes be too forward. They'll think that just because they sent a message or just because they posted that it's going to cut it, right? So what I'll tell them is that, hey, if it's weird in real life, it's going to be weird online. But the good news is that good marketing models normal, healthy human relationships. And there's a meme that I found online that I really like that says, hey, so for our first date, I was thinking we could figure out the names for our children, right? So if somebody came to you in real life and they're like, you just met them for the first time and they're like, hey, let's go on a date and then we can talk about the names of our children. That's too fast. It's too quick. It doesn't work, right? That's what most people are doing when they start marketing online, whether it's with a post or especially with a message. They'll send out a message just saying, and I'll show you an example here, actually. This is one of our clients. Before he started working with us, he was using, I don't want to call them out specifically. I use them for their email marketing services. But they started to get into the LinkedIn side where they're like, hey, we'll send out messages on your behalf. But this is the message that they were sending out on behalf of the advisor. It says, hi, Ken, I help busy professionals create a retirement income plan to enjoy a financial future they want for themselves and family. Call to see how I can help you. Reply or call. He has his number there. Too busy, schedule here. Has his link, right? So this is without any other conversation. This is just after connecting with somebody. That is exactly what we're seeing on this side. It's too forward. It's too fast. Terry here saw nothing after running this campaign for a few months with this this client or with this service, right? And so what we did is we changed it around. And I'm not sure if you can see this with my cameras up here or the videos up here, but after we took over Terry's marketing, started doing the LinkedIn side, what we were able to do is we were able to implement some strategies, and I'll go through the tax-free planning attraction system. But within 45 days, he had 39 leads coming through. Again, even retargeting the same people he had already sent that message to, because of how we were able to change things around and start using a strategy that I'll talk about in a second called conversational selling. So one of the things you have to watch out for in this process as well is that you can't overcompensate at the same time to where you never get out of the friend zone with your client. So this other meme that I like, it says, listen, I really like you. And then she says, I like you too, you're a good friend, all right? So that's what you'll see is two ends of the spectrum there on the posting and the messaging, where people will either be too forward, too fast, or they will be too passive to where they never bring their prospect to an action point or to a decision step to get them to take the next steps forward. So the key to that is
So Tyson, just real quick, I wanted to just say on that, and that's why what you just talked about right there, and that 3-step process, connections, posting, and messaging. That's why I'm excited to be able to work with you, because you understand that side. A lot of the systems, and like I said, and it's not like this is getting blasted everywhere. And I know Connected's not going to yell at me anyways, but Connected being the system that we use and have taught a lot of agents to use, that's the piece. It's connections and messaging. And a lot of times the two things that agents, and the reason they love the tool, but the problem for a lot of them is that they don't know conversational selling. And so they need a lot of help creating the actual message itself. And they don't do any posting. Like, they have no idea what that looks like, how to create a good post and what that is. So just between those two pieces alone, putting all the pieces of the puzzle together and what you do specifically on that end, that's exactly what I mean by it doesn't interfere. It actually integrates together and completes the picture. And that's what I'm most interested in, and really everyone hearing about and understanding, because I know we all have agents that ask us those questions. How do I get in front of more qualified leads? What systems are you using? And we'll tell them systems and technology and softwares. But a lot of them still need the help on actually the messaging itself, the conversation. How do I even start that? What's the wording I need to use? And that's really where a lot of what Tyson does and the trained advisor does is fit within that picture. And that's why I want us to be acutely aware of that, because the better that we can get on that end and answering that question, especially for the people that are in that higher net worth clientele, they are looking for solutions and answers on that. And this could be something very easily for us to just on a basic knowledge to pivot to and have conversations with. Or if it ends up being they want to take the next step, then we just bring Tyson in basically. But we'll talk more about that afterwards. But I wanted to mention that because that's really where the gap is for people that are doing marketing, is that the messaging itself, the words to use, and then especially with LinkedIn, the posts and things like that.
Yeah, perfect. And that's a good timing on that comment. So we'll get into some of the conversational selling techniques here. So with that conversational selling, I mean, these are some of the results that we had. We had Dallas that was able to write a $278,000 annuity. Mike was able to get interviewed on Business Radio X and was introduced to the CEO of the Florida Home Builders Association. John here on the right had a neurosurgeon reach out to him based on this technique. So the way that conversational selling works, again, so the way that we do it is so that we don't, we're not too forward, but we're not too passive at the same time. We got to find that mix in the middle, right? So with step one here, when connecting with somebody, we have tested a number of different connection request messages. So that's the connection request messages. When you go to connect with somebody for the first time, you're able to customize a message that you send out to them. So the one that has worked the best for us overall and had the best results on the actual connection is just saying, hi, first name, looking forward to connecting with you. Then you sign your name at the bottom, right? So we don't need to get too fancy. We don't need to say, hey, we have so many connections in common, or hey, I want to network and blah, 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 blah. We just want to keep it nice and simple. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Is one, we want to come across as a real person, right? We don't want to look at, I mean, you're using Copilot or you're using another service to help with the connections, whatever it is. So we are going out and, again, marketing is a numbers game, going out to as many people as possible, but we want to come across as genuine as possible at the same time. And then the second reason for this message is that we want to keep some of that mystery alive as to why we're connecting, right? We don't want to jump the gun and come across as too salesy, too spammy. So just say, hey, first name, looking forward to connecting with you, your name, right? Now, step two is to not sell right away, right? So there's no need to rush anything at this point. So what we'll do is just start a simple conversation. We'll just say, hey, thanks for connecting. I'm looking forward to working with you. If you want to keep that conversation going right then, just say, hey, how's business going for you? But again, come across as real, genuine, and you don't sell right away, all right? Step three here, and this is the most important thing, is that at this point, once we're connected with somebody, we want to start leveraging where people's attention already is, okay? So in this step, we're looking at giving them a value-based offer. So with this offer, I'll go into that in just a second, but with this offer, we're inviting them to do something, we're not selling to them. And then step three here is we want to get them off of LinkedIn, all right? So we can start a conversation if you don't feel like you have good websites, good funnels, or anything like that. You can start asking open-ended questions, but the way that you're going to see the best results is at this point to get somebody off of LinkedIn. And the reason for that is that any social media platform, it is so easy to keep scrolling, right? You're battling literally with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other, distractions, other profiles, other ads that can pop up, whatever it is. So it's easy for somebody to keep scrolling or just exit out altogether. So we want to get them off of LinkedIn and into our digital environment. Here's a couple of messages that we had. I won't go through those right now. Some of the posts that we've had that have generated results. Again, this is all getting somebody off of LinkedIn. But the reason for this is that, going back to what Nathan mentioned earlier, with a lot of advisors using methods like Copilot and whatnot, is more often than not, they have some version of what you're seeing here on the screen right now, where they have a LinkedIn profile, they're connecting with people, they're messaging. With posting, a lot of times advisors will resort to just what the carriers will put out, which is pretty watered down content. So at least they're out there. It's not optimized, but at least they're out there, right? So now it's time to plug in the second half of the equation when we're talking about getting somebody off of LinkedIn. So a lot of times people will talk about, sending people over to their website, right? With a website, what a lot of advisors need to understand is that your website is just like an online brochure. I'm not saying don't have a website, right? You need to have a website. It's a great solidification piece. It is able to prop you up and make you look legitimate, but your website is more like an online brochure. So what happens is when somebody gets to your website, there are so many different places that they can go to. They can go to your about section, your team, your mission, your products, your timeline, your blog. When in reality, what you really want them to do is to go request a call, right? Fill out a quote form. There's one single action step typically on a website that you want them to get to. But what happens is they get lost in all of the other pages and all the other functions of your website, to where by the time they even get to that request a call section, we've already lost their attention. There's a statistic that I like. It's that the average attention span of a human today is 8 seconds, and a goldfish has the attention span of 9 seconds. So that's what we're up against, especially in the digital space, is that we're trying to capture somebody's attention and get them to move forward in as little time as possible. So that's where we like to integrate sales funnels, marketing funnels. And I'm not sure how familiar with sales funnel you guys are, but what sales funnel do is it drives people down to a single decision or action point that we want them to get to. It eliminates all of that fluff, all of the places that somebody can get lost, to get them to the action step that we want to get them to. So the goal of a sales funnel is to collect leads, book appointments, sell a product, or run an online event, right? So those are the typical things that you'll see inside of sales funnel. So what I like to say is that a sales funnel is the best way to turn lookers into leads, because we are getting them to an action step. So that's what I'm saying. We start plugging in the second half of the equation. I'll walk you through one of the sales funnels that we're using right now, that tax-free planning attraction system, to where not only are we connecting with people, posting and messaging with an optimized LinkedIn profile, but now we're plugging in that sales funnel to where we're getting people to the action steps and to the decision points that we want to get them to go to. All right. So one of our advisors, Christine, we were able to implement this with her. And what we were doing is we put together a sales funnel, launched it to her network, and within 4 weeks, she had over 60 leads coming through of people who were interested in tax-free planning. So one of the things that I want to touch on before we start diving into the system is that your follow-up systems are just as important as your front-end system. So a lot of people will get excited about the initial funnel. They'll get excited about the initial page, but they'll forget the back-end work as well. So going back a couple slides here, so you'll see that not only do we have places for people to book appointments, but we also have follow-up email sequences in place. So after somebody comes to our funnel, we'll be able to touch them and get to them at a few different points. So with Christine, once somebody requested the lead magnet, and I'll get to lead magnets in a second, once somebody requested that from her, we had her follow up with a phone call. And what she would do is she would just say, hey, thanks for, requesting my book, or thanks for requesting the lead magnet. And I just out of curiosity, what piqued your interest about it and made you want to request it? And from there, she's had clients that have opened up a number of different conversations. So originally people were coming through for tax-free retirement planning, but she would follow up with this phone call. One of the guys was like, hey, I'm in the middle of selling an apartment complex right now. I'm going to have a multi-million-dollar cash influx, huge capital gains hit. Can you help me? Or can you help me with this kind of stuff? And she's like, yeah, for sure. Like, it's not tax-free retirement planning, but now we can talk about charitable remainder trust. We can talk about legacy planning. So it's able to branch out into a number of different places than just what they originally came in for. So when it comes to your sales funnel, there's a concept called a lead magnet that is very important in this process. Now, your lead magnet is what initially draws people over to your funnel. So I talked about getting people off of LinkedIn. So what we're doing right now is, with that third step in the conversational selling equation, is we're offering somebody the ability to get a lead magnet or get something that we are offering in exchange for their contact information. So when it comes to that lead magnet, well, we're going to refer to it as bait right now. So you guys may be more avid fishermen than I am, but I did a quick Google search. I was like, okay, what kinds of fish can you catch with a worm, right? So Google tells me that just about any freshwater fish will eat a worm, okay? But what if I wanted to catch a certain type of fish? Now, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, was in Idaho for a while, in Washington State, and up in that direction, we have what are called sturgeon, and it's one of the largest freshwater fish in the world. So if I'm looking to catch a sturgeon, would I go after a sturgeon with a worm? No, right? Because I'm going to catch anything under the sun. I have no idea. Once I throw my bait in the water, I have no idea what's going to come in and bite the hook, right? So we need to be able to match our bait to our fish. The same thing with our marketing that we're doing online is we need to match our bait with who we're looking to target. So, who would I attract if I offered a gift card online? Anybody wants a gift card, right? If I offered a get rich fast plan or template, I'm going to attract people who want to get rich fast. If I offered a guide on how to buy insurance right after having your first baby, well, the people that I'm going to attract are those that either are about to have or just had their first baby. So our top performing lead magnet right now is actually books. And so what we'll do is we'll take a book that we know that our target market is going to be interested in, and we will plug that into our sales funnel. And that's what we're going to be offering to our prospects on LinkedIn. So I mentioned before that we are looking at targeting those who are in a higher income tax bracket already, right? We're looking at business owners, doctors, attorneys, dentists, whoever it might be. We want to target those that are in a higher income bracket because we're going to be offering a lead magnet inside of our sales funnel that is going to leverage where their attention already is. So with this kind of marketing, like, I don't care if somebody today is a Democrat, a Republican, liberal, conservative, anywhere in between. Everybody is concerned about taxes, the economy, and politics. So that's where we want to leverage where people's already attention is, offer them a lead magnet that's going to help solve that pain point. So what I like about this, so in this instance, I'm showing the book, The Power of Zero. So this book currently has instant credibility. Yes, you can plug in a number of different books into this equation. One of the things I like about this book is that if you look online right now and you see how many Amazon reviews it has, I think this number is a little bit outdated. It's gone up several hundred more in the last few weeks. But currently we're over 1,500 Amazon reviews where we're looking at 4.5 stars or above. So people are going to look at that and be like, okay, people like this book. It has instant credibility. That people love physical items. We have tested a number of sales funnel strategies where we're offering digital items, digital guides, digital whatever it might be. But there's something about people being able to feel something, smell it, hold it, where they're instantly going to be equating that lead magnet or that physical book as a higher value in their mind. And that's exactly what we were doing with Kara here. So you'll notice at the beginning, the inside of her testimonial here, she said, I have ordered close to 100 books. Now I talked about 100 leads earlier, but it was actually 100 books that she had where people are coming through. They're giving their first name, last name, email address, phone number, physical address. That's all of the information that we're getting from our prospects for her to then be able to follow up with them via phone calls, via email. She's actually sending out a physical book to have these individuals be able to read it, to be able to talk to her so that she can go through and actually have conversations with them to figure out what their true pain point is to be able to solve that. So like I said, Kara this year alone has closed over $250,000 through this system alone because people are coming through with those needs. Same thing with Kevin. Within 8 days, he had 32 prospects ordering the book. He had 9 retirement consultations that were booked immediately inside of a sales funnel. One of them that I really liked is there was a guy named Rakesh who came through who was high income. And he was looking at a potential exit in his business over the next few years that could be in the range of $30 million. We actually just had a similar situation come in out of Georgia where within the first day, now I'm not saying this always happens within the first day, don't get me wrong, but the first day, I think it was the first or second lead that came through with one of our advisors. It was a guy that had $6 million liquid cash. In the next 60 days, he's exiting his business. They're going to finalize the sale of it. And he's going to be landing, I think he said close to $60 million. And what I loved about this, so he booked the appointment with the advisor, or ordered the book, booked the appointment with the advisor. And on the follow-up call, the advisor's like, hey, what piqued your interest about the book and made you want to order it? And he's like, hey, here's my situation. And my CPA is running out of ideas on what he can do. Right. So he's actively looking for those strategies in his business. So with this system, that's exactly what we're doing. So I'll walk you through it again really fast. So we have the LinkedIn profile on the front end that we're optimizing. Again, we want to make sure from the cover photo all the way down to the bottom that it matches the campaign that we're running, and that when people hit your profile, they know exactly who you are, what you do, and how you can help them. And it starts getting that relationship built to where they're going to want to take action. Next, we connect, we post, and we message, all with the intent of getting people over to the sales funnel that we set up so that somebody can order that book from you. You go out, you have follow-up phone calls once they order it. They're able to book appointments directly in your sales funnel. And then even if they don't, we're going through and we have follow-up email sequences that go out to them so that you can continue to indoctrinate them, educate them, nurture them without having to handhold them every step along the way. And that part is very important. Remember when I talked before about what advisors typically do, whether it's cold calls, door knocking, whatever it is, a lot of those are time-intensive activities to where if the advisor is not knocking a door, that prospect's not going anywhere. So that's where the system really comes into play, to where you can get all this going and not have to be hand-holding that prospect every step along the way, all right? And then from there, once the system is set up, we just use conversational selling to feed the lead machine, all right? So just a couple of messages here. This guy came out and he got the book offer, and he messaged our advisor and he's like, hey, I'm debating whether I should go back into the industry that I've been in. I've got $75,000 IRA nuggets or I'm looking for a way to drop $75,000 IRA nuggets into safe investments to give me the maximum monthly returns, and of course, watch the tax burden. So as an advisor, you know exactly what you'd be doing in that situation. The girl on the right here says she would love to talk more about the tax planning. She loves the book, and she's got a few business entities that she's building her assets slowly, but would like to be ahead of the curve. Now, we've got other things that have come from this as well. So remember, I said that it's not just tax-free retirement, even though that may be the leader. Once somebody comes through, this is another message that we got coming back. So this guy got the book, read the book the same day, and what he was drawn to immediately was talking about long-term care. So that's where he starts. Everybody's got different pain points, right? So their attention is going to go to where their pain points currently are. So with him, long-term care was the one that he wanted to go to. They start getting the quote in right away. So they're looking at hybrid life insurance, long-term care. Post, we talked about this one earlier, where the thing that I like about this, so somebody saw a post about the book that the advisor was offering, but she said, hey, I'd love a sneak peek at your guide. And then our advisor said, hey, of course, it's a physical book. Send me your address. And she said, I love it. So old school, real book. Her and her husband became clients after meeting with our advisor. So that's where I'm going through and just saying, hey, it's the small elements each step along the way that make a huge difference. It's posting the right way, connecting the right way, messaging the right way. It's offering a physical lead magnet as opposed to something digital. Those are the things that add up to be bringing in those higher income earning, higher net value, or higher net worth clients that a lot of our advisors want to see. So, that being said, we've showed kind of the watered down version, but once everything is set up, here's what we're looking at right here. This is where, I don't want to show this too early in the presentation, because a lot of times this John Madden looking football play is going to be very overwhelming. And so if you look at the elements that are involved here, it's very, very simple. Profile, connections, posting, messaging, sales funnel. That's what we're looking at with every one of our advisors. So, before we start getting into, what exactly we do, how we do it, what we offer, all that kind of stuff, do you guys have any additional questions that, I can help answer for you? Any clarification that you might want in regards to how the system works?
I'll see if anybody else has some first before. Jake, anything on your end?
I'm okay for it now.
Before I ask some questions, but I know this is like drinking water from a fire hydrant.
Yes. Yes, definitely can be. And that's one of those things. Sorry, what was that?
Oh, no, especially if agents, advisors, agency owners are not taught this stuff. So a lot of times, even though you're going into it in a level of depth, most of them know nothing about marketing. It's only what someone else has told them, another marketing person that puts it in a template that all people should be doing. And unless that's the one thing that we're always trying to do is find people, and especially like Tyson, that actually understands the industry. This is not like you started in marketing and then you're like, you know what, I'm going to start marketing to insurance people because that sounds like a good idea. And you really don't know the space at all and what they're actually going after and what they're trying to accomplish and do. That's the biggest difference that hurts a lot of the people in the agents in the industry, because they're learning from people that actually don't know the industry. And this industry is different than whether you're running a company, you're in manufacturing, you're in different types of sales. Like, it is inherently different, and people are getting regurgitated knowledge that they should be doing of companies that are, $100 million companies basically. And agents are like, oh, I can't do that thing. That's out of my cost ability. Or I don't even understand all the things, that the moving pieces that they're talking about, but I've been told that I need to do something. And I need to get marketing. I need to be able to create that funnel. But that's why I love what you've talked about and what you're looking at doing. And I think this is an important piece within everything that we're building as well. And I'm getting on my soapbox for a second. But like I said, a lot of the things that we have on right now are softwares. And softwares are great, but without the actual step-by-step process and the wording and the things that go on behind all those different aspects that agents don't always know to do on their own. So they'll look at the shiny piece of software or technology and like, oh, I need that. And then they start using it and they're like, oh, why isn't this effective? What's going on here? Like, why am I not generating the leads that the person that was selling me the technology said that I would get just by having it? And that's really where, marketing is a very broad stroke and broad brush. But that's why it needs to be specific to the industry and that person and what they're looking to do. And without those components, then a lot of money gets flushed down the drain for, and then they think, oh, marketing doesn't work. I'm going to go do something else, or I need to find, referrals and spend a lot of time doing that. And they get jaded for anybody else that comes in and says, well, I can help you do X, Y, Z. But like I said, I'm off my soapbox. That was that. But that's why I appreciate you, Tyson, and what you're doing on that side and what that looks like. But anybody else have any other questions or things that they saw throughout that process? I mean, we're all very familiar. All of us are on LinkedIn. We use LinkedIn a lot. So I think that's good to be able to know about. But I'll let you finish up then.
Awesome. Yeah, so when it comes to what we actually do for the advisor, there's a couple of different ways that we work. So the first step, and what most people prefer, is for us to take the entire campaign off of the advisor's plate. So what we'll do in that scenario is that we'll go in, we'll optimize the profile, we run your connections for you, we post for you 3 times per week, and there's a number of different posts that we've come up with that have proved to be effective going after these markets, especially with the funnel. We go message your first level connections, drive them to the sales funnel, set up, run, customize, and manage your sales funnel, then also hook up all of the follow-up email sequences. So with that, typically it's $9.97 a month. Month one, there's a $500 setup fee. For you guys specifically, we decided to waive that setup fee entirely. This is something that we haven't offered to anybody before. The second way that we can do this also, especially if somebody, I mean, kind of like me, when I was an advisor, I loved the marketing aspect. Obviously, that's what I ended up doing long term. But what I love to be in there every day. I love the messaging aspect. I love to be actually doing the marketing. So in the second scenario is that we actually set up the entire campaign for you or for the advisor. And then we give you the templates, we give you the scripts, we give you the system for the advisor to then go and run themselves. So with that one, that's $1,497. It's a one-time fee, but that also comes with 30 days of support as well. So that way, as the advisor starts going out and actually getting into the trenches of, okay, how do I message? How do I follow up? What was X, Y, and Z again? That's where we come back and we say, okay, ask your questions. We'll help you out. We want this to be successful because if the advisor's successful, again, that makes us look good. So, it's a full circle there. So anyway, that being said, let me know if you guys do have any questions. Nathan, what's the best way if people do want to get a hold of me? Can I get you my Calendly link, or what's the best
I was gonna say,
process there?
What's more efficient for you actually, Tyson? Like if you have a Calendly link, would love to set that up. What I'll do on our end is, and I'm assuming your main point of contact right now, would that be true? So
Yes.
What I'll do is for everyone that's here in our AMOs and BDAs, I'll include we have a master contact sheet, and I'll include your information. And if you have a Calendly, I'll put it on there as well. And that way, then everyone here has access to. That's not something that we're not blasting your information out to 1,000 agents and stuff like that. But for the core group of 15, 20 AMOs and BDAs that we work with, if they're working with an agent or have questions and they say, you know what, this agent that I'm talking to, this system would probably be really great for them, they would then contact you, and then we can set up a Calendly link and for the agent or advisor or agency, whatever that looks like. That'd probably be the best way for the process to be able to work. But like I said, so these people have your contact, but not the thousands of advisors. You won't get bombarded, or else you're going to get yelled at by your wife.
Yeah, there you go.
Tyson,
Yep.
could you again briefly the 2 different methods of
Yeah.
the charging?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll share my screen again real fast. Yeah, so with option one, this is where we are looking at taking the entire campaign off of the advisor's plate. So this is somebody typically who's like, hey, I just simply don't have the time to follow up on everything right now. So with that, the first step we'll do is we'll go in and optimize the advisor's profile, and we'll make sure, hey, cover photo, we make sure that's customized, make sure your headshot's good, your headline, your summary, all that stuff. Next step is we start connection requests for you. So with that, LinkedIn's got a hard cap right now at 100 connections per week, 100 connection requests. So what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll do the targeting. We'll make sure that that's running for you. And then in the process, as we start all that, we're going to post for you 3 days per week. And we encourage the advisor to post on top of that if they can. It's something that, like, if you've got more like personal posts are great to put on LinkedIn. A lot of people don't realize that, people do want to see your family. People do want to see that you're a real person. You're not just a life insurance advisor, a financial professional. There's more to you. So if you can post more than that, highly encourage you to do so. And then from there, we'll actually go out and we'll message all of your first level connections. So with that, the goal is to drive them over to the sales funnel so that they're able to go take advantage of that lead magnet, that book offer. And then with that, of course, we set up your sales funnel for you, customize it to you, your brand, make sure your image is on there, hook your calendar up to the sales funnel and all that. And then we'll also set up your email, automated email sequence as well. So as people go through and request the book, they're able to get automated emails as well as phone calls from you. They're able to go and book appointments and stuff like that. So that all is step one. Again, just $9.97 a month. We don't have any, that's for you guys specifically. With that being said, we don't have any long-term commitments on this at all. So that way, if you get a couple months down the road, we actually had a couple of advisors who were like, hey, I've got way too many people to talk to right now with everything that's come through, too many leads. Let me catch up on these, and then we'll start again here in a couple months. So that way you can pause and play depending on, how, what your needs essentially. So step two here is where we set up the entire campaign for you. So what we'll do, we'll go out and we'll actually optimize the advisor's profile again. So make sure that looks good. We make sure the cover photo's there, headshot, headline, summary, all that. And then from there, we'll set up your sales funnel. We'll customize it to you, your brand, and then we'll actually hand over the rest of the campaign assets for the advisor to go and run themselves. So we give you the post to post, we give you the message scripts, we give you the phone call scripts, essentially everything that you would need to run that campaign yourself. We take that and we hand it to you. And then with that, 30 days of support. So that way, if the advisor has questions as they go out and they actually start posting, connecting, messaging, the sales funnel's going, that they're able to reach out to us with any questions that they have, especially as, a lot of this will make sense when they start going. But, what happens more times than not is that somebody will request a book and they're like, okay, now do I call them in 24 hours? Do I call them in 48 hours? What's the best thing there? Those are most of the questions that we get have to do with like timing and stuff like that. But 30 days of support for that one-time fee.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I was going to ask if there was a contract or if it was basically month to month. So you answered that part. Mm-hmm. Anybody else have any questions?
No, to me, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Oh.
Awesome.
And yeah, so I'll make the comment too. Like I said, Connected is the main tool that we talk about to a lot of people. This, I'm going to let Tyson answer the question a little bit because you mentioned a couple other services, but someone already has Connected. How would this, what you're doing, integrate with someone that already has that a system like that in place and that automation? What would you say to that person?
Yeah. So with that person, if they're already going through and they're doing the LinkedIn marketing to some degree themselves, something like this, where we're setting up the campaign for them and giving them the scripts, may be a great fit because it's going to essentially enhance what Connected is offering. So there's a number of different programs out there that can do similar things. There's Copilot, Duck Soup, Connected. I mean, you name it, there's a ton there. But again, Nathan, you mentioned it earlier, that's a tool, that's a program. Now, essentially what you need to be able to do is plug in the scripts that actually convert, plug in the second half of the system. So again, I encourage you to keep using Connected. I mean, it's a proven company. They're great at what they do. essentially what we're doing is enhancing what the tool can provide you with. So it's those message scripts that convert. It's making sure you have the post, you have the sales funnel to be able to get somebody off of LinkedIn and over into your digital environment so that you can pre-frame them to get them to a decision or action point. So does that help answer that question, Nathan?
Yeah, absolutely. Unless anybody else has a follow-up question on it, but yeah, that's the software is still important. It still automates a lot of those things, but like I said, what the trained advisor is doing is helping them with the messaging, helping them get off of LinkedIn and set up a true funnel that has a real offering. Because what's typically happening, and I mean, I can give multiple advisors, and I don't even know the amount of hours that I've spent with some people on, they have the connected system and they start using it. And then they realize they're asking me about, well, why am I not getting the amount of connections that I want to? Why isn't this generating the type of leads that I thought it was going to do? Et cetera, et cetera. And it's because of those missing components of the actual marketing conversation. Like a huge, just on the trained advisor side, is that sales funnel, is what you talked about with websites being, a brochure, and they need to get to the point of getting information as quickly as possible. That's a really important concept that most agents aren't thinking about how that actually works and what that looks like, especially if they're trying to use it as a tool to generate leads. On a basic level, websites are there to just show that you're in business. So that's a lot of times what we deal with on this side. But if people are taking that next level and like, okay, I want to use my website to generate more leads, there has to be a system in place to be able to get people to that website, and the website has to be simple enough to be able to show people. There has to be some kind of offering, basically some kind of value right away at the beginning. Like they can't search for it. If they can't find it within 8 seconds, then you lost them.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I'm excited about with Tyson, and that's why all those things work congruently. And again, proving this here, our focus is as a resource company. So we pull in all those different things, and part of our job as marketers, as business development advisors, as in this space, is to cut the time that agents and agencies need to find these types of tools. Because before a lot of people will find someone like Tyson, they may go through other 1, 2, 3, 4 other services, and that may work to a certain extent, may not work at all. And that's really where we're trying to cut that time off. And that's the reason that they're working with us rather than someone else, basically, because we're taking the time in our day to actually understand these concepts and ideas and be able to pivot to those different concepts. And I would venture to say that most other marketers and wholesalers are not spending time doing that, because they're mainly trying to get contracts and not actually do practice management and things of that nature. So that's why, I love having people like Tyson on and having these conversations so that we can learn those different aspects and help the agents and advisors that we're working with even better, and be able to attract other agents and advisors because of what we're doing. But you guys are letting me do all the talking. Like usually, it's 10:31. So I didn't want to keep Tyson on too long, but any other questions while we have Tyson, and before he heads out? This is recorded. We'll put it on the band group as well. But any other questions while we have Tyson, or questions about the trained advisor and what they're doing over there? Everyone's good. Awesome.
All right.
Well, Tyson, I will we'll let you go. You can go take a nap now.
Right.
I really appreciate your time. Out of curiosity, do you have a little bit of time within the next hour or so if I give you a call after we're done?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. I'll touch base with you afterwards, and then we'll go from there. But I
Awesome.
appreciate it, Tyson. And then we'll chat about a few things and wrap up. But I really love the time and really looking forward to working with you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on.
And good. We'll talk soon.
All right, take care.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. So that's the trained advisor. Any conversations on your guys' end or questions that you guys want to talk about before I jump into just a few things? We probably won't be on all the way till 11. But any comments on trained advisor or what that looks like from your guys' end? Everyone
No,
good?
not really. I can see the value of the service, but at the moment, I don't know if it's something that I personally right now can take advantage of.
Oh, and yeah, it's not for anybody. This is not for it. By all means, if you guys want to use a bet, that's more, you're more than welcome to. But this is just for you guys to know about for when you're talking to an agent that's in that tax-free retirement space or doing higher net worth clients. All of them are asking how to get in front of qualified leads, and or get in front of more leads. And on our end, we have some lead vendors, but honestly, the lead vendors that we have, none of them are in that higher net worth space, and there's not many people that I know that do it successfully and that I actually trust. So the reason that I ran across Tyson and the trained advisors, because some of the groups that I'm in, they are always asking those questions about who to use. And I personally know 3 advisors that are, they're not top of the table earners, but they're all MBRT people. And all 3 of them use Tyson for some of their lead flow. And so I've had, personal conversations with them, and they've highly recommended Tyson and his team. So that's why I've been having conversations with Tyson for the past few months of what that conversation would look like, and kind of vetting the system and with some of the people before we bring it on to something that we can actually offer. But that's why we finally brought on Tyson, because he fills in the gap of the other side of the coin of, like I said, I love Connected. It's a phenomenal system for especially the way that we're using it on our side. We don't need we can still generate and grab and pull information, but to actually generate a true lead for an advisor, Connected by itself without the wording, the messaging, the posts, the funnel, without all those things connected, because Connected doesn't do all those aspects. It's just the software piece of building up connections. An agent is very typically going to get frustrated with Connected because they're not doing the other marketing activities.
How many leads are they generating for the groups that you've spoken to?
So on the low end, on the low end, it was about 30 a month when they have it on. Like, they've turned it off a couple times because it's generating much. On the top end, it was just over 50. And each of them have closed anywhere between, they've all made at least $50,000 from the system alone, like without any of their activities. All 3 of the advisors that I've talked to, and now some of the other people that are using it, have generated at least $50,000 of revenue, of profit, like commissions in their pocket, basically directly from the system.
And is that on a year basis? So they're paying roughly, let's just say, $12,000, $13,000 to get it going. Is that for the full entire year, or is that so far this year up until September?
Yeah, so most of them don't keep it on for the whole year at all. They honestly use it for a few months, and then because literally, like, one of them, he had used it for 4 months. He generated over 100 leads from that. And with the current book that he's working with, other marketing activities doing plus that, like, he turned it off because he couldn't handle it. But just from that 4 months of him doing that, he was able to generate over $50,000 of revenue from the system. So he spent, basically that's $4,000 and generated $50,000 from it. And that $50,000 was just a few sales. He's still working on the like he hasn't closed or all the people, because on those type of sales, it's a process driven sale. But it's produced enough results for me to say, all right, this system is vetted. I've talked to enough agents at this point outside of Tyson himself, and it works.
Yeah. And then what's Tyson's role in Trained Advisor?
He's the owner.
Okay, so he founded it.
Yep. So he's the one that founded it. He has a couple people on the team. He's not a large team at all, and he's not a huge company. He's definitely working on scaling and getting there, but he works with I'd say close to about 200 agents and advisors and agencies right now that are using his system. And his system, the way that he's built it out, it's for him, it's relatively plug and play, which is why he can get to that number pretty quickly. But yeah, I liked what they put together. I like Tyson, and like I said, for me, it fills a gap of some of the software things that we teach people to use, but they're not having success because they don't have those other pieces, and that's where Tyson fits into the picture, basically. Any other questions? Like I said, and the last piece that I'll say then is just on the marketing side is, again, use this as a tool, and we'll put it into, the other documents. I'll have his contact information. Don't be afraid to give him a call and ask questions on your end and make the connection. Use it as a piece whenever someone is asking you, and not the final expense agents, not the mortgage protection people, but the advisors and the financial professionals that you guys work with that are in the tax-free retirement space. They're doing IULs or whole life. They're doing retirement planning. They're a financial advisor, whatever it is. This is a tool that I would bring up and mention to them as saying, hey, we have an entire program that can build you out a sales funnel using LinkedIn with automation, and all the messaging, all the tools are already plug and play. And we've seen, we have people that have seen success from it. Would love to connect the dots and see if this is something that's a system that's going to be used for you. And then afterwards, then we get them with, hey, and having that conversation about earning their contract. And for us, this is why it's really cool on our side, is that, so with the people that we bring on, we can of course give that discount. So that it's a forever discount. It doesn't have a timeline. That's for us specifically. I'll put that in the notes and stuff like that. But they've run that business through us. I mean, one case could make your guys' day. And that's really where the piece is for us of bringing in those type of clients and earning that business, because like I said, Tyson's not huge enough. It's not like he has all the market share in the world. So running systems, there's other systems out there that are like Tyson, but they're not Tyson and they're not with us basically. So leverage that as you guys see fit, and use it to get more agents on board, and have those conversations.
Hey, Nathan.
Yep.
This is Dennis.
Oh, hey, Dennis. I didn't even see you. Oh, you're on that's the phone number.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sticky phone number.
I thought that was, for whatever reason, I thought that was Tyson. I didn't even connect look at the number. Hey, Dennis.
Yeah, so I didn't see any of his screens or anything. I'm all audio, but
it's recorded.
Let's say somebody, yeah. Well, and I don't know if there was a whole lot there anyway to see that would enhance that. But anyway, why? Let's say you have somebody coming in cold, meaning they don't have a current funnel system or a connected kind of system. Why would you advocate doing connected? They, I understand
Oh, did I lose you? Oh, I don't hear anything.
I don't hear anything.
Dennis, you might be going through a dead spot. Cannot hear you.
Well, I'm gonna mute him for a second, but I know the question. So to answer the question of if someone doesn't have a system like that already, quite honestly, I would advocate for trained advisor first before connected. Because with what they do, they're going, especially if someone's going down that right of that first package, that $9.97 a month. Tyson and his team are going to do all the connections and the first connections and the messaging. Like they pay for the software for that side on that end. Now, if someone's a little bit more tech savvy, or they already have systems like that, or they want to do that on their own, so that second package of, the one-time fee basically, and they don't want to pay a monthly fee for it, then that's where a system like Connected would fit in very well, because that's the system that they can use to implement those messages as on that end. But hands down, if you're talking to someone that's first starting off and they don't know much about marketing or using LinkedIn, and they don't have a tool like that, I would bring them to Tyson first before talking about any other type of system and concept and idea, because Tyson will help them set up all those different aspects. And that's not a cost that they need to incur and add on to what they're doing. So let's see. Well, if Dennis, you can unmute yourself if you're back on, but hopefully that answers the question for everyone here, is that if they're looking for, especially generate leads, Tyson would be the first person that I would talk to about that system and that concept.
Got it.
Yep.
I somehow I must have muted myself, but you got.
No, I muted for you because we were getting reverb back.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
How
we
about now?
can hear you.
What about the fulfillment side of it? And I could obviously take this up with him.
Mhm.
So he was using the Power of Zero book.
Yeah.
Obviously, thinking that's an added cost. I gotta buy those books at $20 a pop or whatever. But then does his staff mail them out to my lead for me?
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
As well as the sales funnel, you need a landing page for a sales funnel. I get them off LinkedIn, I take them someplace. Does he create that for me?
Yes. So
those are some of my.
So the landing page part, the funnel that he sets up, that's part of the cost. So that's not extra or anything like that. He sets up the funnel. He'll set up the page on that end. As for the book, because I didn't ask him about that piece, because not everyone that I've talked to uses the Power of Zero book. Like Antonio, one of the guys that is one of the agents, he created his own pamphlet. So he has his own book that he uses on that side. So I would venture to guess that the agent's incurring the cost of the book. But that's a good question that we can clarify with Tyson on that end as well.
Yeah, and the book cost itself is not that big of a deal. It's more the manual labor of somebody, because it is a physical book. Somebody is automating that. Okay, I'm interested in the book. Here's my information. Somebody sends it, etc.
Yeah, and I think so. Basically, took one of the other person. All he's using is Amazon for that. So basically, that's being done. Yeah, he's connecting a system on the back end that when someone requests that, it goes in, and then Amazon's just shipping it out basically.
Yeah, Amazon Power of Zero, you can get brand new ones for $10.99. I just checked.
Yeah,
it's not too bad.
Okay, cool. I'm going silent again. See ya.
Okay. As I say, yeah, any other questions that anybody else has before we wrap up? Well, like I said, use it as a marketing tool. Agents are always looking for ways to get into, especially higher net worth clients. And like I said, I like Tyson's system. They've done really well by it. I know people that have used them, and we have good reports with them. So I'm going to add his information into a few different places. I'm going to add it into the 3i community membership document, so that we have a little tidbit about what that looks like. Tyson's information will be added to the Praxis important contacts list. So if you guys want to reach out to him directly and ask questions, you're more than welcome to. I already expressed it earlier, but don't hand out his personal number to 50 different agents. What we'll do for that is I have his Calendly link. If you guys want to just automatically schedule a call with him, then use the Calendly link to set up a time for the agent to have that conversation. But we all have direct access to Tyson and his team. If we have questions, we want to learn something, we want to put together an agent presentation, we have an agency that wants to see this, him and his team are there to help us out. So with that said, everyone have a phenomenal rest of your day. Jason, I'll give you a call in a couple minutes. And then, yep, Jody.
Have a good one.
You guys too. We'll talk later. Oh, I apologize real quick. Everything's good next week, but the first week of October, and I'll put this on band, we will not have a Thursday morning training, and we won't have the call block on that Wednesday either.
Okay.
And I suppose one other thing to mention just about the call block in general, on 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Wednesdays, that is, just so everyone knows, it is not a training. Like, we're not going to sit there and learn more things. The idea is for us to be able to call together. So I don't want to feel like you're wasting your time. Like, if you guys want to start scheduling, outbound phone calls at 1 o'clock, feel free to join the Zoom and we can learn from each other and listen into conversations. But it's designed for us to make phone calls, not for us to do role playing and have other conversations, because you guys are in enough meetings as it is. But I just wanted to give that heads up as well. I appreciate it, Jason. I'll talk to you in a couple minutes. Everyone have a phenomenal rest of your day. We'll talk soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye, Jake. Bye, Nathan.
All right. Bye.
Bye, hand.